Hey everyone, hello, good evening. I'm Lasya, DSC Lead, Andhra University College of Engineering. I'm super excited to be hosting this session to you all today. So, this session would be revolving around resume building, where I will be giving a few tips on how a resume should be made. I will also tell you how you should get started with it. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So, a little about myself. I'm Lasya. I'm currently pursuing my third year of Bachelor's of Technology at Andhra University College of Engineering, majoring in Computer Science and Systems Engineering. So, I am an incoming intern at Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the field of machine learning, and I'm a budding data scientist and also a machine learning enthusiast. So I can't wait to get started with this session to tell you all on how to get started and how to build a basic resume. So let's get started. So I will first cover what are the basic components in a resume that you need to add. The first one being your personal information, which is your name, email, your LinkedIn link. It would be better if you could embed the link in onto the like you don't make sure you don't like add in the link as a link, but embed it into a word or something like that, and then add your contact number. And then you can also add your additional information, which is if you're applying for a software development role or something like that, if you're from a software development if you belong to that category, you could also add your GitHub link or your Medium link if you have any uh, if you've published any posts on Medium or something like that. Now that will depend. And there are other social media platforms as well. That depends on your role and on your necessity as to what you need to add. So this is the important part. And then comes your education. And in the education subsection, you will have to add your university or college name and your degree, which is bachelor's or master's or something like that. Major is again, I'm sorry, yeah. Major is again which part you are majoring in, which is your department or your branch. And then the expected year of graduation. This is a very important part because a lot of people do not really consider adding this. You will have to add when you started this. I mean, uh, when were you enrolled into this course, and until when will you keep pursuing this? So that is a very important part. Please don't forget to add that. Moving on, you will have to mention about your skills, which are your coding languages, typically Java or JavaScript, Python, or C, C++, and stuff like that. And the tools that you use and the libraries and frameworks that you're well aware with. These are, if you are a CSE student, let's say if you hail from some other department, make sure to add those as well here, which will tell you which will specify what tools are you aware of and what are a few things that you are comfortable handling. So moving on comes your experience part, where you list out all your internships and your part-time work or projects and stuff like that. Typically, you will have to mention your internship, the company or the a place where you've worked, and the role that you have worked in, like let it be like a front-end web developer or a back-end developer or a full-stack developer, machine learning engineer or something like that. And it would also be better if you can mention the timeline as to when you worked there, be it 2018 May to 2019 May or something like that. And a brief description about what your work revolved around in at the internship. What did you actually do? So that would constitute your internships part. Make sure you don't overfill your details, because it should typically come in 1 or 2 lines where you depict that I worked as a front end web developer and have developed so and so website or something like that. All right. And then same goes with your part-time work and your projects. Make sure you mention what you've done in your project, and if it is under a professor that you've done, make sure to mention uh, her or his or her name, or what you have really done under her and what you've learned. And yeah, so a few points to keep in mind are, you will have to mention your work experience in the chronological order, which is the most recent work experience first. Do not, I would suggest, don't go around keeping your even though if that was very important, don't try putting work experience that you've done 2 years ago in the first, and then then the later. Make sure you go in a chronological order. And a few more things are, I'm sorry, give me a minute. Yes. So the next thing, you definitely write about your job title, your employer, and the dates when you have been employed in that particular internship, as I mentioned. And then, yeah, as I said, descriptions must be concise, not more than 2 3 lines. Make sure you stick to that. Moving on, the next part is your extracurricular activities, where you write about your volunteer experience, uh, like if you're a part of any NGO or something like that, or your position of responsibilities, like have you led any club, or have you led any initiative, or have you been a part of any co-curricular activities where you've taken a particular position. All of those go into this. And then be it any of your competitions that you won or have been a part of, and your conference presentations, and if you have been a part of any startup, or if you've founded any startup or something like that, make sure you add that in the entrepreneurship experience as well. So all of these come under the extracurricular activities section, but a lot of people create separate sections for their volunteer experience and for their other position of responsibilities and stuff like that, which is totally customizable and up to you. Moving on, honors and awards. So here you can talk about the scholarships that you've won and your academic awards, or be it if you're a gold medal at your university, you can write that. And if you are, if you won something, or if you're a topper at your class, you can mention all of those here. And yeah, if you've been placed into any companies, the rankings in your company tests or something like that, you can mention all of those under the honors and awards section. So moving on, we will now have a look at a sample resume. Although you can find, this is like a very brief picture that I'm showing you guys. There can be colors in a resume, there can be other templates. I would strongly suggest you guys to check out the templates which are available on Google before before sticking on to some template. Give me a minute. Yes, so as you can see here, you have the first part, which is education, and then you can talk about your skills, and then comes the internships, and the certifications, projects. And as you can see, the projects have been mentioned in 2 to 3 lines in a very crisp manner, which is very important. And one major thing is that you will have to link your GitHub link or something where they can show if that is open source, if that is public, make sure you add that link beside your project so that your recruiters can cross check or take a look at it. And yeah, then comes your position of responsibility and achievements. You can have a separate section for your links, which is your GitHub, etc., or you can just mention your contact information. So moving on, I will show you another sample resume. All right, so this is another resume that I found. Can you guys quickly tell me what you can find in this, and what are some of the good things or some of the bad things? Do you think this is a good resume? If yes, why? If no, why? Go on, keep them coming in the comment section. Okay. Somebody says it's a very good resume. It is very detailed. Okay. Keep them coming, guys. Do you think this is a good one or a bad one? Harsh says it can be improved. Okay. With respect to? Okay. Projects should be before skills. All right. That's a good point. It's too large and over descriptive. Okay. Great reviews, guys. Keep them coming. All right, so I will tell you a few points about this. As Dinesh mentioned, it is too large and over descriptive. Yes, that is a very good point. Make sure you just concisely write about your projects in 1 or 2 lines. That's it, not more than that. And you can, yeah, as Harsh mentioned, that projects could be before skills. All right. And yeah, it looks too cluttered, and it is it is monochromatic because it has just black and white colors. So you can always make it look more colorful, add a few colors here and there, probably to the headings or something like that. You will find great resume templates over the internet, so make sure you go through them. And I am getting a few questions. I will take all of your questions at the end. Okay, so Nivedita says education has only one university. All right. So that is totally, I guess it's okay because it should typically depict the current education that you're pursuing, not necessarily mentioning your past education, unless and until you do a dual degree, let's say I'm doing my master's. So writing about my bachelor's as well as master's makes sense, because if I'm going to apply for a job or an internship, it would add value as it is related to my domain, and what I have previously done in my bachelor's would also hold value. So it totally depends on your decision if you would want to add your particular education institution or no, your past education institutions. So yeah, too complicated. Okay. All right. So we'll move on. So this is another fun question. What do you think is the average time a recruiter spends on a single resume? Go on, keep your answers coming. This is a very interesting question because when I heard this answer, I was quite perplexed as well. What is the average time a recruiter spends on a single resume? 30 seconds. Okay. Nivedita says it's 30 seconds. What else do you guys think? 10 seconds. Okay. 6 seconds, 8 seconds, 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Okay. Good to see a lot of people putting in your perceptions. 10 seconds. All right. So, yes, I guess yes. Yashank was right. A recruiter takes 6 seconds to review your resume. That's it. Now, okay, 3 minutes, 1 minute, that's all too long, guys. A recruiter typically looks at your resume for just 6 seconds. So now, could you imagine what kind of highlights you should be giving in your resume, because your recruiter just goes through it for 6 seconds? So yeah, I will give you a few tips which will help you understand how to make a better resume. So the first important part is whiteboarding. Now, what is whiteboarding? Take a pen and a paper, or if you have a whiteboard, well and good. Write down your okay, I got a question. Isn't it unfair, like judging someone's 4 years in 6 seconds? Well, see, I would tell you a brief statistic that will help you analyze. Google itself gets around, let me check. Yes, Google gets around 12 to 16 million resumes every year on an average. All right. So, and Google has a recruitment team which will go through every single resume one by one. So, what do you expect? Taking in and looking at a resume for more than 6 seconds, do you think that is, possible? So, think from the recruiter's perspective when you're trying to build a resume. So, yeah, getting back to what whiteboarding is, take a pen and a paper, take a whiteboard and jot down all of your entries that you would want to put on your resume. Like, let's say one of the subsections is experience. All right, you have 2 internships that you've done, you have 6 projects that you've done, let's say you have 2 or 3 other project work or something like that, side projects or part-time work that you've done, and write down all of those under the experience section. Similarly, do that for every subheading. Start with education, start and then move on to skills, and then move on to your experience part, and then move on to your honors and awards. Jot down every single point that you have so far, you've achieved so far, and then start scrutinizing as to what is more important and what do you want to keep in the in your resume at the end. So some of the factors that you have to consider while adding in scrutinizing those experiences of yours is the job role. Let's say you're applying to an SD internship. All right, adding in your design experience doesn't really make sense because that will not add value at the end. All right, writing about your research experience or writing about something else which doesn't really cater to or support your resume with respect to the role, chuck them out. All right, and then comes the number of projects. uh, you might be having 10 huge projects, but you cannot really mention all of them, keeping in mind the space constraint. I would want to talk about how important space is, because since if you're a graduate student or you're somebody who's pursuing your education, I would strongly suggest you to keep your resume limited to 1 page and not beyond that, because anything more than 1 page will look too much. All right, in 6 seconds going through 2 pages is a little difficult. Let's say you have 10 years of professional experience and then something like that, then it makes sense to go to build a resume which is 2 or 3 pages. But if you are a student, I would say stick to 1 page at any cost. All right. And keeping in mind the space restriction, select which project you would want to keep, which experience of yours would you want to highlight, because it matters how well you have contributed to that project. Because that let's say you get through the resume round and you go to an interview, that is something that your interviewer will ask. Any and every question asked about that particular project or about that experience. All right. So mention only those which you have really contributed to. Let's say you're a part of a team of 4 members and you hardly did anything, you just gave them logos and stuff like that. That doesn't really add to an SD role if you're applying. So make sure you prioritize what you want to put on your resume and be authentic about it. So yes, and when have you done it is one of the least important factors that you can consider when you are having a tight stiff between two or three projects that you want to put, but you know which one to put. If all of these other factors I mean add to it in a similar way, then you can definitely put on the most recent one, and but that would be the last option. So I will also be talking about a few general tips that you should keep in mind, which are yes. So the format of your resume is very important. It should be in the form of a document, be it a Google Doc or a PDF or a Microsoft Office Word document. Stick to these because a lot of other recruiters or companies might straight away reject and might not even open your resume if that doesn't stick to these particular formats. And then use action words. Now, what are action words? These are the words that would really add value and make your resume look more stronger, like founded, published, designed, or stuff like that. If you keep adding action words like that, they will add more value than just writing formed an organization, or was a part of an organization or built an organization. Rather than that, if you just say I founded an organization which does so and so, that would add much more value. Consistency in formatting and usage of colors. This is a very important thing because a lot of people overdo their resumes with 3 or 4 fonts. I would say that is very unnecessary. I would say stick to 2 fonts, and make sure I would strongly not suggest italics though, but that's totally up to your personal choice. But stick to 2 fonts and use them accordingly. Probably one is for the heading and probably the other one is for job role or something like that. And keep your description simple. So 2 to 3 fonts should be it. Do not go beyond 3 fonts and font sizes, because they will look very cluttered and they will be very difficult to read. All right. And yeah, font sizes, please don't go beyond 2 font sizes or more than that. And usage of colors, you can definitely use colors to highlight your headings or highlight your you know uh, highlight the points that you would want to really put emphasis on. But make sure your colors don't overdo your resume such that the first glance goes towards your colors rather than you know something else. So that is one more important point. And then comes structure and flow. Your resume should look clean and simple. It should be very easy to read. So use bullets and indentation properly wherever it's necessary, and make it look readable, easily readable. So I would also, as I mentioned, use colors for headings such that it becomes easy to read and to put emphasis on. And the most important point is kindly be authentic. Do not write something that you did not do, because at least let's say you got through your resume round, but you will not be able to go through the interview round if let's say somebody asks you a question about it and they will clearly get to know that you lied. So be authentic. Do not lie at any cost on your resume. That is the most important point. And then a lot of people forget to add their contact information. Do not forget it, and add the updated contact information. Many a times it so happens that you that the number that you write on your resume or you gave must be an old number, and that recruiter is trying to contact you but cannot reach you. So make sure you update your contact information and add it without fail. Always keep your resume updated, which is add in your latest experience, add in your latest projects, add in your latest, contact information, and keep it updated so that you know you don't have to uh, look around for telling people what you have done recently. It so that your resume doesn't miss out on important information. And then, if you're applying internationally, make sure to include your proficiency in languages. This is something I have faced as well. I initially did not include the languages that I speak or am aware of, but this is a great advice that I got, that to include the languages that you regularly speak and are comfortable with. And how comfortable are you with speaking that language is also very important if you're applying internationally. And do not forget the 6-second rule. Finally, at the end of making your resume, make sure to go through it again, give it to your friends to proofread your resume, ask for resume reviews, probably contact mentors or contact people who do resume reviews, or whom you think, or you can approach people on LinkedIn to actually do a resume review, so that you get to know how well you have done your resume. All right. All right. So that is a very, very important point. Do not forget to do resume reviews before you send it out. So I guess that is it. Keep your questions coming. If there are any other questions, you can put them in the comment section, and I will be happy to take them up. So, all right. Okay, Harsh asks, what should be a good resume file name? Typically, your resume file name should just be your name and nothing else. So that is an ideal way of sending in your resume. And should we keep changing resume according to the job we are applying for, or keeping it miscellaneous? Oh yes, this is a very important point. You have to keep changing your resume according to the job role that you apply for. Let's say you're applying for an SD role and a design oriented role. Make sure you add in your experiences accordingly, depending on what role you're sending it to. Yep, good question. Is cover letter necessary along with the resume? So cover letter is a totally different thing. It depends on where you're applying. A lot of companies, when they ask you, they typically ask you to upload your resume. So in such a case, only your resume should be enough. But if you're applying to to something or somewhere via an email or something like that, it would always be better to add your cover letter. Definitely. Cover letters typically you telling your objective to, uh, you know, why you want to do the, why you applying to this, and how did you find them and stuff like that. So yes, that's my answer. And also, a lot of times it is very important to include the objective in your resume. As a side heading, and write in a single line as to why you are applying for that particular role, which is seeking a research internship at so and so to work on a challenging project or something like that. So yep, I guess that answers it. And do we need to give GRE IELTS to prove our proficiency while applying internationally? All right. So if you're applying, it depends on what you're applying for. If you're applying for your master's or something like that, then definitely you will have to give your GRE and IELTS. if you're applying to colleges. And if you're applying to international companies, I am not really sure. But if you are applying to a research internship or something like that, it depends on how you're applying again. If you're going through the college, they would typically ask you to upload your resume. And in that case, I have not seen anybody giving the GRE or IELTS to go for an internship abroad. So yeah, you can always give your GRE and IELTS to, support your statement that you are good in English and you're good at that subject. That is just an additional factor if you're not applying for masters, whereas in case of masters it's a necessity. So all right, does LOR from other internship matters? It does. It depends on it really depends on the company that you're applying to, because a lot of companies do ask for LORs themselves, but a lot of them do not. So you typically don't mention any of your LORs on your resume, but if you do, I mean, if the company asks you to, then you definitely have to send an LOR. And getting an LOR after an internship definitely matters, because if you, let's say, if you would want to apply for masters or something where LOR is a necessity, but uh, for companies and stuff, you can definitely add in a recommendation letter if you are going for a referral or something like that. So getting an LOR after your tenure is done at a particular place definitely matters. I would say make sure you do that. Okay, so I'm getting quite a lot of questions. Let me just check. Um, mm, okay, are certifications necessary? So it depends. If you're a student, it will help them analyze. I mean, if these certifications are something that which are not a part of your course, they will definitely add value if you tell that you have been certified by so and so for so and so skill. Because if those are not a part of your academic as a part of your course in your college, so telling them about your certifications that you did outside will definitely add more value. So if you did any, make sure you add that. But yeah, there's another point that add certifications only if you really have a certificate, because most some of a few times companies usually ask you to produce those certificates, which will then backfire if you don't have a certificate, and which would give you a bad remark if you tell them that you don't really have that certificate, but you've taken that course or did that internship, but you don't have a certificate. So make sure you put that under certifications only if you have a certificate. Hmm. Hey, Aditya Jha asks that don't some companies use softwares to cut through some of the resumes? Yes, it is a known fact that a lot of companies use software which will skim through your resumes, but a lot of times companies do mention the format that they would require you to write the resume in. Otherwise, I would think any of your formats would make sense. I mean, if they did not specifically ask for a format, then there's nothing really you can do. But if they did, then you might have to change your resume format to that. So, so I guess that is it. I'm going through the comments. Okay, is it good to include volunteering experience in resume? It definitely is good to include volunteering experience. Do not, uh, you know, think that adding this would not make any sense or something like that, because a lot of times you never know what they're looking for. Your volunteering experience might prove a fact to them that you're confident in public, or you can lead people better or something like that. So definitely adding all that you did which is worthwhile will add value, but again it depends on the priority, your space, and the role that you're applying for. So it's just that don't disregard something just because it doesn't matter. Give it a benefit of doubt as to how it might add value. Okay, adding on to hers, what about adding soft skills, management skills? All right, so okay, it depends. See, let's say you have volunteered at two places. One of them is leading a team of, another way to put forth something is leading. That is, and again, an action word where you can just write worked in a team. Instead of that, if you've led the team, you can just write led a team of, so and so people. Add, show numbers, show statistics. That would create more impact. So that is another important point. Make sure you add in more numbers to make it feel strong. And so yeah, when you in your volunteer, like you led a team, or you've done or you organized this particular session or something like that, that will obviously indirectly tell you that you are good at public speaking, you are good at managing stuff. So those are all, I think, self understandable. uh, but let's say you don't have any such experiences, then you can probably add a section under your skills, where you can say that your soft skills and management skills are good. You will have to essentially talk about stuff which is not directly or indirectly implied in your resume with the existing facts, especially something like this, which is soft skills and management skills. So yes, how would you demonstrate one's soft skills in resume? I guess I answered that, Tanish. Uh, what is more important in the resume, experience or projects? Okay, so that totally depends on, yes, that totally depends on the experience you have and the projects you've built. So let's say you've built a great project which creates huge impact, which has great statistics. Let's say you've built an app which has over 5 million downloads, and is creating impact in a lot of ways, is helping people, which but that is not a part of some experience or as a part of an internship, but that is your side project, let's say. Whereas your internship, you did not do so much in your internship, or it's not that effective, or where you haven't had to portray a lot of skill. I would that then your project would add more value to your when compared with your internship experience. So that is what you will have to consider while you are putting in your experience and projects. Although uh, experience will matter in a different way. When you say that you have worked in some company or in an organization, that will help them analyze that you have worked as a part of a team in a corporation or an ecosystem, and have actually understood their code, like the working system code. Because experience, working in an industry is very different from working on a side project, right? So that would add value in its own way, but you will also have to weigh your priorities, as I mentioned. So yeah, what is the preferred length of resume? I've seen people having 2-3 page long resumes, while the rest have short and crisp. Ideally, your resume, if you're a student, ideally I would suggest you to have just a single page resume and not more than that. And try writing it in a concise way, short and crisp, because that will enable you to think and help you analyze as to how well can you portray your skills in just that one page of resume. So don't overdo your descriptions, don't overwrite about what you've done. Just stick to basic, uh, you know basic overview of what you've done, which will using action words, and using statistics for greater impact. Like I've managed to led a team or managed a team which resulted in 500% growth in the company or something like that. That would create more impact. So yes, I think that was it. So yeah, a lot of you guys are asking for my resume. You can, find me on LinkedIn. Most of my experiences stated there. All right. So the most important part is that what are some of the where can you find a few templates, and where can you make resumes? So I will be posting a few resources here in the comment section. So I have mentioned a few. All right, I don't think this is. I'm gonna send them separately. Give me a minute. So yes, you can find good resumes, the resume templates as well, on Overleaf, on Canva. Also, you have good templates in Google Docs as well. So feel free to check all of them out. And if you are enthusiastic enough, you can build your own from scratch. So yes, these are the resources I wanted to give you. Kindly check them out. A lot of people do use Overleaf and Canva. These are all good resources. So yeah, make sure you check out templates over there. So all right, thank you guys. You've been a great audience, and I hope this session was immensely insightful for you. So yeah, we will most probably come up with a follow-up session on interview prep. See you there. Thank you. Bye bye.